arrived, I'll call the meeting of the Caledonia Plan Commission to order. The first item is a roll call.
Okay. Vice President Jeff Hintz.
Here.
Trustee Nancy Pierce.
Here.
Brad Brune.
Here.
Michelle Cook.
Here.
Amy May.
Here.
Michael Moore.
Here. All right. Next on our agenda is the approval of minutes for the Plan Commission meeting on May 18th of 2026. I trust everyone's had a chance to review those minutes. Do we have a motion on those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 18th, 2026.
Is there a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll call for the all in favor to say aye, opposed say nay. Aye. All right, that motion passes. Our first item this evening for business is a comprehensive plan land use map amendment review. This is a public hearing. This is consideration of an amendment to the village's land use plan map as part of the multi-jurisdictional comprehensive plan for Racine County 2035 for two parcels located directly south of 7936 Nicholson Road, changing the land use category from agricultural, rural residential, and open land to governmental and institutional to accommodate for the rezoning of the site for a future expansion of the existing school. This is submitted by Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church. The parcel IDs I'll skip reading, but in terms of those in attendance, the staff will make a presentation and recommendation. I'll then open up the public hearing, and you'll get a chance to say whatever you'd like to on the item. So staff, please take it away.
You got to get closer to your microphone.
All right.
Or bring it closer.
Too close.
Noted.
Back.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. For some context regarding this request, the land use amendment request is for two parcels with a combined area of approximately 14.5 acres located south of 7936 Nicholson Road. And that relates to the area in which the Trinity Church is currently located. So if you can take a look at the map on the screen, the map is highlighting in red the two parcels that are subject to this land use amendment. So the parcel directly south of 7936 Nicholson Road, which is addressed 7900 Nicholson Road, is where you can see most of the current building of the school. And there is a portion of that parcel to the south in which you have a single family home. And that portion is currently designated agricultural, rural, residential, and open land. And the second parcel that is part of this request is this L-shaped parcel that you can see on the screen. And this parcel was donated to the church for the purposes of the expansion of the existing school. So currently, the church is requesting for all of these two parcels to be amended and designated governmental and institutional for the future expansion of the church. And as such, this proposal is consistent with our comprehensive plan and with the future use for that parcel, which is institutional with the expansion of the existing school. And it also fulfills a part of our comprehensive plan that says that additional land for governmental and institutional land uses will eventually be included here as in the development of vacant developable land designated for such uses, and they're not currently included in our land use map, but they will be designated in the future for the expansion of those uses. And this is a such case in which portion of this land here from the former owner was donated to the church for the expansion. And just for some context for this area as a whole, you have here to the north a low density residential use, which is highlighted in yellow. And the areas in gray, they are agricultural, rural, residential, and open land. And if we take a closer look at the parcels that are here closer to the parcels that are part of this request, you have here to the north a parcel that is also part of the Trinity Church. And here you have the cemetery and part of the school. And part of this land is also designated as agricultural, rural, residential, and open land. However, the applicant requested that this parcel is not part of this request at this time. So, in summary, staff recommends this amendment because it's in compliance with our goals and policies within the comprehensive plan, and that's in guiding future growth in a manner that preserves and enhances the quality of life and the character of the community, but also promoting the expansion of the current economic base and creation of a range of employment opportunities, which can be created with the expansion of the school. And a few of the policies part of the comprehensive plan that will be contemplated by this request are also to create a balance between private rights and public interests, to ensure that the best interests of the community are attended, and also maintain and enhance the quality of high quality education systems in Racine County, which is why staff recommends this land use amendment to support a future rezone to the I-1 institutional district and support the future expansion of the existing school. Thank you. That will be all.
All right, thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions of staff from commissioners at this time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I'll open up the public hearing on this matter. All right, now we'll take questions.
You want to go to the public hearing first?
We can do commission questions first if you have any.
Jeez. You can hear me. Natalia, did I understand correctly? You said that this open agricultural land, the staff expects this to already be considered for residential development in the future?
I'm sorry, which portion of land that you,
Well, we've got
referred to?
agricultural open on the two parts to the right, north of 7 Mile and then south there, not on the property itself. You've got those two big parcels. And if I understood you correctly, you said one of the reasonings is those will be developed into residential developments in the future. What are we basing that on?
no, these won't be
Not
developed as residential.
No, not what the applicant's asking for on the other side of the road and north. You've got two big agricultural areas.
Oh, this area that's highlighted in yellow? Is that
No, go to the right.
other side
To the
here?
other side of Nicholson, north and south. I guess it's north and south, at least on this axis.
Yeah, so currently the land use designation for this area is agricultural, rural,
Right.
residential, and open land. So they are open for agricultural uses and rural residential uses. So once we go to the rezoning portion of the hearing, so the second request, you'll be able to see that all of these areas here that are currently zoned agricultural.
Right.
So the permitted uses are only agricultural uses and rural residential uses.
So we don't have any anticipated expectation right now on these two that we're looking at subdivision developments in there.
Not that
Okay.
I'm aware.
No, that's great. The other thing is, just to make sure we're clear, and I don't really have a problem with this, but if we go with this new land use plan, and then when we get to the zoning, we will lose a little bit of tax base. I mean, I realize it's taxed at agricultural, but if it goes into institutional, that comes off the tax rolls, right?
I would not be able to answer that question
Okay.
at this time.
That's fine.
I can look into it.
Any other commissioners with questions at this time?
Yeah, what's going on with the little house that's right there? Are they okay with this land being changed all the way around them? It looks like there's a small little house there.
So the little house that you mentioned, is this the portion of this southern
Yes.
portion here?
Yes.
So this is part of the church's land. And if we go to the actual proposal that they submitted, because they submitted a concept proposal, which is not part of this review right now, but just so you can take a closer look, what they are proposing to do is to raise that existing house, because if I'm not mistaken, that was used as the priest's home or the pastor's home. So that is located where this orange rectangle is right now in that drawing. So they're planning on raising that home to expand the parking lot as part of the future proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I will open it to the public for those who had signed up, and if you didn't sign up, you'll get a chance to speak at the end if you want. We'll have that opportunity, but the clerk will read off the names of folks, and then please approach the microphone and then just state your name and address for the record.
Cliff and Connie McDonald. Okay, you don't want to speak? Okay. Kathy Schneider. Okay. Okay, if you're gonna speak. Okay. So are you Kathy?
Don't worry, we
Are you
got you.
Kathy Schneider? Oh, you're, okay. Okay, go ahead and speak your name.
But we've been talking as neighbors, obviously, but I'm at 7825 Nicholson Road.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Beth Bellinger, 7825 Nicholson, 53108.
Please proceed.
So we represent the houses that are directly across the street from the church. And we have quite a few different questions and concerns. Obviously, it's our little corner of the world. It's very peaceful. We're a little concerned that this decision's already been made based on the activity going on across the street already. They're doing soil testing and water testing, and they've already built an easement into that property, which happens to be directly across the street from my house. But we're really wondering, in general, what benefit does this really give the community? You said extra jobs. I don't know how many extra jobs there would be. How much extra enrollment is there? We're concerned about traffic. Has there been a traffic study done? That corner over there at 7 Mile in Nicholson is a disaster. We already can't get in and out of our driveways during school hours. I had notes. What are they using for water? Is this going to force us into city water? We don't want city water. There are concerns that the road can't bear all of that traffic. Directly, there's low shoulders over there. My mailbox already gets taken out pretty regular by not only people driving, but also the plows. But you guys are good. You replace them. Let's see, what else? Yes. So if this does go through, what beautification and noise reduction strategies do they have for us across the street? If you drive down Nicholson, it's a very short space. It's a small 2-lane road, and there's not a lot of room for error over there. And again, our view is, mine's probably better than these two, but my view is directly open farm field. So this is going to completely block my little piece of the world. This is not going to create any extra tax revenue. They're nonprofit. But then our property values will go down. We're taking a look at commercial buildings and parking lots versus green space. There's a church right down the street in Oak Creek that did an expansion, and it lays empty now. At the end of the day, taking away the green space, I don't know that it's worth it. They've already got a very full school over there. I can appreciate that. But how much enrollment? How much enrollment are we talking? I'd like to understand how much that generates more revenue for the church then, and then what they're going to give back to us as a neighbor. Let's see. Am I missing anything? Oh, yeah. Does that mean that they're going to expand the roads into our property? Oh, yeah. Nobody runs the speed limit over there. It's already 35. But I think our bigger concern on traffic is how can it bear that with our properties right across the street, low shoulders. 7 Mile in Nicholson is already tons of accidents, lots of near misses. And again, during school hours, we can't get in and out of our driveways already, so. Anything else? Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael Cadell?
Good evening. I'm Michael Cotto. My address is 3261 Bergamot Drive in Caledonia. I am a member of the church, and we certainly appreciate these previous questions that have been raised here by our neighbor. First of all, the expansion of the school is essentially the driving force for that is not so much growth, but we have the old 7 Mile School, which is on 7 Mile Road, small building that's currently houses our preschool. And that building contains asbestos, lead paint. The water is not potable. So the desire is to move our little ones out of that school into our current building, and then take up 4 classrooms in our current building. And then what we're doing is we're replacing those classrooms in the new addition, along with a STEM classroom. And our existing offices are being relocated to provide some more space for the narthex for the church. So the strategy really isn't growth, although we have grown in the last 20 years. But we aren't adding any new classrooms other than the STEM classroom, which is for science use. We are adding 2 more additional preschool teachers. We hope to grow the preschool slightly. Right now we have about 40 kids. We hope to increase that somewhat by getting accredited. We can't get accredited now in the 7 Mile School because of the condition of the building. But if we get accredited, then it allows us to reassure parents that we're doing things to a quality standard level. We are currently doing a traffic study. We are sensitive to the neighbors' issues. We have one of the things we're doing, if you look at that site plan, we currently have backups at time where people are on Nicholson Road and cannot pull into the parking lot because of the delay in picking up their children. So by doing this new layout, which you see above that blue square, which is the addition of the building, we've got expanded parking lot, which will allow us to queue cars and get everyone off of Nicholson Road, get rid of those traffic hazards, which are rightly expressed by our neighbor, and allows a bus drop-off lane there to get the buses safely in and out. So that's another major benefit of this plan, is to increase traffic safety. The water source is going to be well water. And there's no intention right now of extending water or sewer. That may happen down the road, but it wouldn't be us causing that to happen. It would be some other development, either north or south of Nicholson, that would occur, I would imagine. So in closing, and one other thing is, we are also sensitive to light trespass from headlights in the parking lot. If, we don't have a lot of evening activity. We have obviously some activity in the gymnasium that occurs after dark. We do have some evening Lenten and Advent services in the church, but we're proposing to have a landscape barrier that is sufficiently high to block any headlights from trespassing across Nicholson to the east. So in everything we're doing, we're really trying to be good neighbors and be sensitive to these various concerns, which we agree with. and hopefully we can deal with it and take care of these problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Shantz.
Good evening. My name is Paul Shantz. I live at 1106 Bedford Court in Mount Pleasant. I'm a member of Trinity Lutheran, and I've been there about 5 years. And the church has had some remodeling already done to it, and for beautification in the church. And as we look further ahead, as what Mr. Cotto said already, looking at our preschool, that was one of the big things because of the asbestos and the water conditions. But we want to be good neighbors, you know, to our people across the street and in the surrounding area. And so we've really done a lot of homework. There's a rather large committee that's working on this right now to kind of poke holes in everything to say, why is this way? Why is it that way? Should we make more room here? And we've come up with a plan that we feel is fair and good for the community. The biggest thing I guess I look at too is that us being able to get our preschool into the building with the rest of the school for security purposes and things of that nature. That'll be a really great thing. And plus the upgrades that we'll be doing for those kids. And actual class sizes other than the STEM class, we're really not looking to add, we could add a few students here and there, but we're not looking to add 60, 70 students. That's not what the purpose of this was. It was basically to right size the school to make sure everything was available to all the students and that. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you.
Benjamin Dillon. Okay. Joel Burmeister. Okay. Joe Kornacki. Okay, and that's all I have signed up.
Right. Is there anyone else who potentially didn't sign up that wants to speak and address the commission this evening on this item? If you do, please approach the dais. I'll call a couple more times just to make sure everybody or anyone that would want a chance to participate can. So that was once. Going twice. If anybody is interested in speaking that didn't sign up and hasn't already spoken, please approach the dais. All right, and for the third and final time, just for state statute purposes, anyone interested in speaking on this, please approach now if you wish. Otherwise, seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing of this item closed and open it up to any other questions for board members to ask of staff or for a motion at this time. I guess I'll ask a question of staff just so it's out there. We're doing a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezoning potentially as agenda items. Does this require a site review by the time they come with a formal site plan that would come back to this commission that would address things such as landscaping, site arrangement, that a rezoning application and comprehensive plan amendment do not?
Correct. So right now, we are just evaluating the request for a land use amendment and a rezone. So at a future date, if the land use amendment and rezone are approved, the applicant needs to present a full set of plans within the building site and operation plan stage, which addresses questions such as lighting and landscaping, signage, and a traffic impact analysis was also requested as a part of this, of a future request because of potential traffic impacts. And also they will need to present a certified survey map to address a few questions regarding roadway dedications. So in the future, if this request is approved, they would have to still present a certified survey map and a building site and operation plan for review.
All right, thank you. And just for those in the audience tonight, neither of the items that are on for the comprehensive plan amendment or the rezoning, this commission finalizes, both go to the village board for a final say. This is a recommending body this evening. The public hearing's closed, but if it's short and technical, I'll allow it. All right.
I just want to know when this is all laid out, the drawing, you know, trees here, this, there, can we get a look at that? So
Oh, sure.
I'll defer that question to staff. That's at a public
Right now
meeting.
I see a purple square or whatever color. place
Mhm.
is gonna be, the park, you know what I mean, a little more intricate?
Oh, yes. So this is just a concept plan that they presented for this stage. So for the building site and operation plan stage, they need to provide a full set of plans with the specific lighting plans showing us that all of the ordinance conditions are being satisfied, as well as a landscaping plan with all of the trees laid out, bushes, and everything that is required. Yes. So this is eventually it is not a public hearing item, but it is an item that will be presented to the Plan Commission in the future.
And it'll be online. If this passes and we get to that point, all of this material, what they will be showing would be online, just like what you're seeing here tonight.
That was another question. Do we get notice at all about what the decision is?
Tonight, whatever we make the decision on tonight, you'll hear. Then it goes to the board.
But once all of those details get hammered out, then you give the approval, or you're giving
It comes
approval
back here.
before they even, are you giving the zoning reapproval before any of the overlay plans are provided? Or you're just giving them approval and then they've gotta come back later with their plans?
Yeah, so for tonight, we're only talking about as a commission, which again is a recommendation to the full village board, whether or not from a land use perspective and a zoning perspective, this would fit and we would, pass it or deny it or whatever we're gonna recommend that the village board do. The village board would ultimately decide, and then it would be up to the applicant if it went through, if they wanna go forward, maybe they run out of money or whatever. It'd be up to them if the land use goes through to actually submit a site plan that the staff described that would outline and address some of the concerns that were presented. So hopefully that helps address some of the question. The rezoning and whatnot could occur without seeing those things. That's possible. Whether or not the village board would want to do that, that's up to their prerogative. They could hold it all, I suppose, and say, give us a site plan. The applicant could ultimately decide that if they don't have the certainty on the zoning, they're not going to go forward with the rezoning as well. So there's a lot of different, think of like a choose your own adventure book if you read those. There's a lot of different things that could happen, but it's possible that this commission and ultimately the village board would set the stage where these amendments could take place and they never turn into site plan, or the village board or this commission could recommend denial and the village board would deny it, and that would just be the end of it. So we'll see what happens as we deliberate here this evening, but ultimately this will be at the next village board meeting for their action. I don't believe staff notifies on that. That is a public meeting. You can certainly go to or reach out to your trustee to see what the result was, or check the minute record or call into the clerk and see what the result was. But there's not a notification about how it was voted on, if that answers that question and helps clarify the process for those that don't do this a lot.
So it could be approved and then they don't do nothing with the land, they sell it off, and then we're back to square one of what our concerns are.
Not completely.
Yeah, whoever develops that land is going to have to come in for some sort of a site plan, and it's going to have to comply with what the zoning rules are. By changing it to governmental and institutional, it's a fairly narrow band in terms of what can go there. It's really set for like government, public purposes. This actually would be a little bit maybe more restrictive in some ways development-wise than maybe how it is now, but the staff could answer more technical questions. But just because someone sells it doesn't get them out of whatever we talk about tonight. Whatever some new idea is would have to come through our development process. Whether it's, me or somebody else or whoever would happen to end up with the property. I did a lot of
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Natalia, are they planning on using the current well and sewer system private on site?
Yes, so from our conversation so far, they plan on using the well and the current septic system, and of course, considering a potential expansion. So they are in the stage of doing all of the studies to
Okay.
see what increased capacity could potentially be.
Okay, that's it.
Other questions? Does anyone want to make a motion on our item regarding the comprehensive plan
Well, now we
amendment?
have to find it.
And we will.
Wait a minute, I think I have it. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that the Plan Commission recommends to the village board that the properties located directly south, oops, I'm sorry, maybe I don't have it, I have 4B. I'm sorry, I didn't, hold on.
4A?
Got it. Okay, sorry. That the Plan Commission adopts Resolution PC 2026-02, which recommends to the Village Board an amendment to the 2035 Land Use Plan map to change the land use category from agricultural, rural, residential, and open land to governmental and institutional for the properties located directly south of 7936 Nicholson Road, for the following reasons. One, that the land use amendment is compatible with the land use classifications of abutting properties. Two, that the land use amendment is consistent with goals and policies contained within the 2035 comprehensive plan. And three, that the land use amendment will lay the foundation for rezoning subject property to I-1 institutional district for future expansion of the existing school.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll
I'll
second.
it.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second, a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion by board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. We will move on to the next item that's somewhat paired with this. This is the rezoning review. This is item 4B on our agenda. This is to review a request to rezone 3 parcels located directly south of 7936 Nicholson Road from P1 Industrial Park District and A2 Agricultural District to I1 Institutional District for the future expansion of the existing school, submitted by Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church, the applicant and owner. Staff, similar to last time, please.
We did a combined.
Oh, you did a combined one? All right.
That was the intention anyway.
So usually we do combine them, but this time we decided to separate the two because for one request we have 2 parcels, and then for the second request we have 3. So this is related to the rezoning request, which involves 3 parcels.
Right. Is there a presentation for this item, or is it essentially the same one and this is the public hearing portion of it?
It is very similar, so the only thing that changes is that this small parcel here to the north is also included in the request. So we have now 2 parcels that are P1, which is part of our legacy district, and the legacy district is part of our previous zoning code. And when our zoning code, the new zoning code was approved, staff decided not to change the zoning map permanently. So the new zoning code includes language requiring property owners to rezone the parcels designated with the legacy district as development is being received by the village. So in this case, since the property owner submitted the request, this rezoning from P1, which is our institutional park district, to the institutional district is required because both are equivalent. And also for this parcel here to the south, the L-shaped parcel that is zoned agricultural and was donated to the church to support this project. This parcel here, so we can have this equivalency and compatibility with the comprehensive plan, also needs to be rezoning to the institutional district.
Got it. Does that make sense to everybody that we're, okay. So in a real simple term, the existing zoning wording says P, but we have changed the wording in our ordinances to say that should really be described as institutional. So there's really no change except the name on that part of it. Does that make better sense? Okay.
All right. I'll go ahead and declare the public hearing. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
All
Vice
right.
President.
All right, thank you. All right, I will declare the public hearing on this item open. That question aside, hopefully that explanation clears some of this up. On a higher level, we're only here to talk about, not the specifics about how they'll operationalize the site. That comes at a later date, but only if this zoning district as described by staff is appropriate for this particular property. This is a public hearing. We have had several folks probably sign up, and I think indicated both they wish to speak on. If you would like to speak, we just ask you to, on the rezoning portion of this, I'd ask that you please approach the dais and then state your name and address for the record, and you'll be able to make your remarks to the board after doing so. Is there anyone, I'll call 3 times in the event that,
Come ahead.
no. All right. Yeah, state statute requires we give folks all the opportunity in the world. And by all the opportunity in the world, I mean 3 chances to do it. So that was the first one. But if there is anyone here wishing to make public comment on the rezoning portion of this, please approach the dais, put your hand up so you can be recognized, going once. Last time, if there's anybody interested in addressing the commission with public comment on the rezone review, this would be the last chance to do so. All right, seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing on this particular portion closed. And if there's any questions of commissioners, now would be the appropriate time to address that to staff. Otherwise, I would be looking for a motion on this particular item.
Well, if we can find the motion. Okay. I know. I haven't found it yet either. Oh, you got it? I got it. Okay.
I got you.
Please proceed with your motion.
All right. So I recommend that the Plan Commission recommends to the Village Board that the properties located directly south of 7936 Nicholson Road, parcel IDs as indicated in the staff report, be rezoned from P1 Institutional Park District and A2 Agricultural District to I1 Institutional District for the following reason. The 2035 Land Use Plan designates the property as governmental and institutional, and the proposed rezoning is in accord with the 2035 Land Use Plan designation for the subject property.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Correct, that's what that item just was. And this, again, both of these go to the village board for a final determination. This is just a recommendation of this plan commission today.
Okay, just one question. I mean, this may have nothing to do. So they're gonna rezone this entire land. Are they kind of checking to make sure with all the rainfall that with this land now turning into asphalt, that the ground is gonna be able to accommodate that, or are they gonna have?
That's part of the site plan,
That's part of the
right?
site plan review that'll come later. This is just their opportunity to be able to turn in their idea.
Flooded every day and they say, well.
No.
shit.
Yeah, those calculations, the traffic, a lot of the concerns that were presented will be addressed through the site plan review as part of that portion.
But we don't get notified of that. We have to pay attention to the website or something.
Right now. That's the way it works.
I just wanna make sure that this land is gonna, it all be.
Hey, can we explain zoning hub to them? Wouldn't it
I
show
mean,
up
I
on
just don't
zoning
want
hub?
this to get to the village board then before all this gets approved.
Now, let's take, we'll address your questions in terms of that. Would you, well, staff, would you explain the process for like how zoning hub works, how they can reach, how staff, or how citizens can reach out to their elected officials
Yeah,
or
'cause
staff?
there is a way, so.
Definitely, and I can address all of those questions regarding the process at the end of the meeting or at a later date, and I can give you my card as well.
So there is a process called Zoning Hub that you'll see marked in our agenda tonight, and you can sign up as a citizen to get notified about anything that's going on in your area or anything that's going on anywhere in the village. And you do get an email that says, hey, there's a new thing on Zoning Hub, and you can go in and look at it, and it'll give you dates that are planned, and sometimes it'll have packet information. So it's a great way to be informed on what's going on.
Well, and I noticed in what was left at the tables for us to pick up is a totally different website than what the letter had. Because the letter, that website, you can't even get into it.
Talk to me afterwards, okay?
All right, we've got a motion and a second on this item. I'm going to call for the vote. All of those who are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. And certainly, those of you who are here for those 2 items, you're welcome to stick around for the rest if you find these meetings fascinating or want to learn more. But definitely reach out to staff or your village board member if you have questions, concerns about the process or next steps or how you feel. Certainly, you can attend the next village board meeting and make comment there as well on any of the items that go forward. The next item on our agenda tonight is 5A under new business. This is the building site and operation plan review. for a operation plan for a proposed vestibule addition and exterior improvements to the industrial building located at 8630 Industrial Drive, submitted by Eric McGrin, the applicant for Racine Kenosha Plumbers and Steam Fitters Education Fund. Staff, please enlighten us on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So just a second. All right, so this request here is for a proposed vestibule addition, some exterior facade improvements, and the expansion of the existing parking lot at the property at 8630 Industrial Drive. And currently, this is a single-story industrial building, and it is proposed to be remodeled into a training center and union headquarters. And just as some background context, prior to submitting this application, this parcel here that you can see in the location map was divided into 3 different parcels, and the applicant submitted a quitclaim deed to Racine County to make sure that these parcels are combined into a single parcel and then comply with zoning requirements and ordinance requirements. So basically what they are proposing is a specific vestibule addition, and let me go to the proposal. And I'm so sorry for the delay. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. All right. So the existing site contains an existing parking lot and most of the existing the industrial building, the one that you saw in the location map. And what they are proposing, as you can see here, right in this, here, the eastern side of the building, they are proposing that vestibule addition. And they're also proposing this expansion of the parking lot towards the east and the north to accommodate union meetings, and especially for occasions in which they are going to have a higher turnout. And the specific exterior of the building, and then we go specifically to the exterior design. So the building facades are mostly composed of masonry materials, so brick, as you can see here in these drawings. Most of the facades will not be changed, so the existing brick will remain and will be painted tan, as is proposed by the applicant. Also, this masonry base here along these 3 facades will also be maintained and painted tan. And the building also contains an existing metal facade, which covers the remaining portions of the building, as you can see here in the south elevation, the east elevation, and the west elevation. So these 3 facades, they are located within what we consider the visible building perimeter, which is the part of the building that can be seen from the street. And the applicant is proposing to change this metal facade here to an architectural, call it style, or metal, which is more durable and of higher quality. So even though metal is not a qualifying material under our code, it is still a metal that is more durable and of higher quality, which is why staff recommends the use of this material for the exterior. So it's actually an improvement to the materials that are already there. So regarding the site design, the building addition that we were talking about, which is this vestibule addition here, meets all of the setback and height requirements for the district in which this building is located. This property also contains easements and wetlands. So there is a 12-foot easement along the west lot line and a 30-foot drainage easement running north to south in the middle of the property, and some wetland areas in the entire east side of the property, which limit landscaping around these areas. And as I was explaining earlier and showing in the site plan, the asphalt parking lot includes that expansion, and the total number of spaces that are being proposed are 138 parking spaces, in which 133 are standard parking spaces and 5 are ADA compliance spaces, and all of them meet code requirements for dimensions and setbacks. One exterior dumpster is proposed on the north west side of the parking lot, which is enclosed by masonry walls, and that can be seen here in the landscaping plan that is being proposed. So on the northwest side of the parking lot, this exterior dumpster here is completely enclosed by masonry and also fulfills code requirements. So in terms of the landscaping requirements, the landscaping plan also complies with village requirements and per design guidelines. The village requires what we call street edge landscaping, which is this line of trees here that you can see on the south of the property. And the village requires a rhythmic planting of 2 to 3 different species of trees spaced no more than 50 feet apart. And if we exclude all of the wetland and easement areas which restrict development, the developer would be required to plant 13 trees along the street edge, and they are proposing 14, which complies with the requirement. And one last requirement regarding the landscaping is related to the landscaped islands, which are required for every grouping of 10 parking stalls. And since they are proposing 138 parking spaces, they need to include more of these landscaped islands. And all of the landscaped islands comply with the code, and they also include a combination of trees and shrubs, which also complies with our code. In terms of the proposed lighting, the applicant presented a photometric plan demonstrating that all lighting proposed for this site will comply with code requirements. And in terms of potential signs proposed for this development, the vestibule addition will contain a wall sign, but the sign that was included in the plans that are displayed here is for illustration purposes only. So the applicant is still required to present a sign permit if this project is approved. And that will be all. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got one. This is an existing building, right? So when this building was built and the metal siding went on that building, that was in code at that time for us, as we understand it, since it's there.
I would believe so.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we're asking to approve the exception to put more metal or put metal back on it, we're really just upgrading what was already there.
Correct,
Okay.
which is why staff is recommending the exterior.
Sure. Thanks. That's it.
Any other questions from commissioners? All right, do I have a motion on this particular item if there are no other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the building site and operation plan review for the location at 8630 Industrial Drive, submitted by Eric Migren, applicant, Racine Kenosha Plumbers and Steam Fitters Education Fund, parcel ID 104-04-22-34-028-001.
Is there a second? All right, got a motion and a second. Yep.
Yep.
All right, any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Our next item is 5B, that's a zoning code discussion. This is review draft amendments to Chapter 10, accessory uses and structures, and Chapter 18, definitions of the Village of Caledonia zoning code. The proposed amendments are intended to clarify and refine terminology and definitions related to accessory uses and structures. This item is for discussion purposes only. There is no formal action this evening. Staff, please enlighten us.
So the proposal here to change the text of the zoning code is mainly related to chapters 10 and 18. So after the update of the zoning code, of course, that as development comes, staff is presented with different questions and challenges that require the update of the code. So in this case, recent applications prompted the definition of the term under construction, which is described here in section 1610.1, parent B. So this term under construction is currently not defined within the zoning code, meaning chapter 18. So that opens certain gaps to differences in interpretation, meaning that under construction can be interpreted as in the literal sense. So for example, if a building permit lapses and the building is still under construction, for example, the applicant could potentially present an accessory building permit application to have that accessory building approved on the property prior to the finalization of a primary structure. So the definition of under construction to include a provision that under construction shall also mean that valid building permits must be in effect makes the interpretation of the code much clearer and establishes a standard for staff to define what this under construction actually means. So in that sense, the only change within chapter 10 would be to include that section that references where in the zoning code the term under construction is defined, which is in chapter 18. And then a couple of other changes that are proposed are related to chapter 18. So the definitions. Under accessory structure or use, currently the definition of accessory structure or use does not include any provision for accessory dwelling units. So this is a gap that we currently have in our code, and recently the village has received a lot of questions regarding accessory dwelling units, and the village does not have specific provisions to address accessory dwelling units, which is why making this term more narrowly defined helps staff understand if, for example, an accessory use can be interpreted as a dwelling as well, or if that provision can be narrowly interpreted as, okay, an accessory structure or use cannot be used as a dwelling at this time while we don't have a specific provision for accessory dwelling units. So basically what we're doing is narrowing that definition to also include that an accessory structure or use shall not be used or occupied as a dwelling unless expressly permitted by this title. So this changing definition also leaves the code open for a future regulation of accessory dwelling units. And then in terms of the change of the building height definition, so currently there is a definition of building height that is included in chapter 5, and that definition describes building height as the distance between the average grade and the highest point of a roof. So this definition that we have here in chapter 18 conflicts with the definition that is presented in chapter 5. So as a longstanding interpretation of staff for example, approving building permit applications and accessory building applications, Staff currently uses the definition present in Chapter 5, which is up to the highest point of the roof, and making sure that the definition contained here in Chapter 18 is consistent with the definition in Chapter 5 makes sure that the entire zoning code has a unified and consistent interpretation of that term and excludes that and that ambiguity that we currently have. So basically, it aligns the current interpretation of building height in Chapter 18 with the application and definition that we already have in Chapter 5. And then the final change to Chapter 18 is, as I described earlier, the definition of the term under construction, to include that the actual definition of under construction means that a valid building permit has been issued and is still in effect, and that, for example, site preparation, excavation, foundation work has commenced. So we narrowed that timeline in which the applicant can propose an accessory building permit. So at this time, staff is proposing this item for discussion, and if the Plan Commission is comfortable with the proposal, then we have a suggested motion here to direct staff to proceed with the zoning code text amendment for the next Plan Commission meeting. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, any questions for staff on this item?
Oh, sure.
All right, go ahead.
No, wait a minute, she's got one.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do we have, I mean, accessory structure, yeah, that's pretty broad. Do we have an accessory dwelling currently?
No, and
Currently, we don't. So accessory dwelling units are not currently permitted. However, according to our building code, you can have plumbing and you can have water. You can have plumbing and you can have electricity in your accessory building. So
So I could put grandma in it.
correct, yes. So the definition is pretty narrow, and
Not legal.
recently we received an accessory building permit application that included what they called a bonus room and also a full bath. So we, staff was trying to determine what would be allowed and what wouldn't be according to the zoning code. And since there is this gap, we decided that we needed to suggest maybe narrowing that definition, at least at this time, while we don't have specific regulations for accessory dwelling units.
Another question on that, because I've got friends that have their garages where they want to have bathrooms in there because they're in there wrenching on them, but they're not planning on putting grandma in it. So if I still want a bathroom and electricity and heat and whatnot in my accessory building, but I'm not planning on putting grandma in it, does that keep it as a structure, or does that make it a dwelling? Because, you know, Grammy might be comfy in it, but it wasn't intended.
So currently, what we use and what the building code specifies as how to determine a dwelling is basically the label that is included in the plan. So for example, if you have, as I said before, a bonus room there, or if you have a bedroom as described in the accessory building permit application, then we would consider that accessory building an accessory dwelling unit.
Okay.
So it really depends on how we define those terms in the future to make sure that there's no ambiguity in understanding.
And that's the whole reason for wanting to write this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
All right.
all right.
All right, go ahead.
Mine is kind of a little bit similar. It's like, why are we not talking about adding ADUs to our codes for this particular, for the type of reason? Because I know when I was reading something today about when we were talking about well, I think it comes up in mixed use, actually, when we're talking about retail and residential, and that we're talking over there, we're going to talk about what current changes are in the, if you want to call it the marketplace or society, and it's more common to see that. But over here, where we're talking about ADUs that has the same thing. It's a huge movement across the country. It's not going to change. And we're not even talking about adding it to our code. So it's kind of like, why are we narrowing things? And my other is just me personally when I think about it. So if someone buys 10 acres, and sure, they want to build a house on it, but first they could put up, theoretically, an ADU and move into it while it's basically a tiny house, a small house, and they may not build that primary residence for a year or two, kind of thing. And if I read the way you're proposing in the documents here, they couldn't do that, correct?
So currently, the zoning code already doesn't allow that an accessory building is constructed
Right.
on the property prior to the existence of that principal structure. So it is already a provision of the zoning code. So if eventually, and of course the Plan Commission and the Village Board would like to suggest that change, we are starting the conversation around ADUs, which is why that subject was not specifically proposed now. So we're just starting the conversation, and of course, if the Plan Commission or the Village Board would like staff to move forward with drafting an ADU regulation, we would gladly do that and start addressing that gap now.
Can we do that off of this particular agenda item? I'm not sure we
I
can.
think the way it's probably worded, no, but I
Yeah.
think with our direction here, you can have it, maybe we'll see how it goes, but I think if there's no major opposition, that would be a good thing for staff to consider based on the discussion. I think for my 2 cents on it, I think for technical reasons, what's outlined here makes a lot of sense from my, work practice and things of that nature for wanting this clarity. The ADU discussion is definitely a different one than this one. I think they're both needed. And you wouldn't want to necessarily, in my opinion anyway, shoehorn accessory dwelling units, which has a little more of a land use impact in terms of density for, lots potentially. If you have 2 people, 2 familial units potentially living on a lot as opposed to someone just building a shed, those are a little bit different considerations. I think in terms of a policy decision, this is probably a lot easier and more technical about giving staff clarity when people can and can't do things, and then opposed to if you're going to have, somebody living in back, enforcement on who's going to live there becomes more problematic and difficult as opposed to, and maybe people don't care if it's rented out to somebody else or if it has to be a family member. Restrictions about who lives in an ADU are very problematic, I know, to enforce in terms of like if you wanted to have a regulation that only a relative could live in one or something like that, that becomes very difficult for village staff to be able to get a warrant to prove who's actually living there and, what counts as a family in terms of the law. So that's a long ramble on. I think this is a good idea for what it's worth for the clarity of like just accessory buildings. I do think that it's not part of this item, but staff should definitely take a stab at bringing something either through the, initiative in the comprehensive plan or, overhaul to the whole zoning code at some point after the adoption of the comprehensive plan, or depending upon the speed this commission and the village board want to move it, something that would be amended before the comprehensive plan and new zoning code could potentially be adopted after the comprehensive plan on this item in particular, because as trustee Pierce notes, all across the country, people are looking at doing accessory dwelling units to help, subsidize their mortgage costs, increase density, downsize, things of that nature. So I think it's a discussion that this commission would probably be open to having it's not on this agenda item, but if someone's like, hell no, we don't want to do it, I'll shut up. But I think for staff's perspective, it'd be good to think about and then do another, workshop kind of memo like this on what you think would be palatable for Caledonia, and certainly talk with village board members and anybody else that's come along. But I think that'd be good. But in terms of accessory structures and, not the uses necessarily, I think this would be good. But other questions?
Well, if we go forward with the accessory dwellings, then, if I put grandma in the backyard, now I've got a 2-family in a single-family residential.
That's part of the question around accessory dwellings, but we don't have that in front of us yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's worth having that discussion because how you regulate it or don't can or can't be a hot button topic depending upon what people.
I can't support an an additional dwelling unit or accessory dwelling unit, however you want to clarify it, on a 10-acre parcel before you build the main house. That's got to come, otherwise it's putting the cart in front of the
Right.
horse.
Right, I
So you
think-
got to have the one building first.
Yeah, in that scenario, I think staff would probably agree. In that scenario, if somebody proposed to do an accessory dwelling unit and there was no primary structure, the ADU would just be the primary dwelling unit, and then there's no guarantee they would ever come back and build a primary one. And based on how the code is worded now, it sounds like under that scenario, if you built the ADU first, that would just be it, and that would be the dwelling, unless you were
Yeah.
ripping out the bedroom or taking out plumbing fixtures or something after the fact, which I think is unrealistic. So I think this clarification in the code would help avoid that scenario, and then we'll have to revisit accessory dwelling units at a different time, since it's not a part of this item tonight.
So you've got our comments, and I guess our other comment is we'd like to have a discussion in the future on ADUs.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I will take this, the discussion into consideration, of course, and we can gladly come back with that
Okay.
discussion about ADUs.
All right.
Is there other discussion on accessory structures and proposed changes to building height, accessory structure or use definition, or the undefined status of under construction as staff presented in the memo? If we'd like them to move forward, there is a suggested motion, and then this would come back for a public hearing that we would see. And also, this commission, for those in attendance, does not have the ability to change the village code, but would make a recommendation to the village board, who does have the ability to change the village code.
We have an-
I make a motion to go ahead with this exercise and bring it back at a later date.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for staff to prepare draft amendments as discussed here this evening for chapter 10 and 18 of the zoning code. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Not really what he said.
It's not a motion, really. There's no act. No.
He said that he'd bring it back. They're looking for us to direct
Yeah,
staff
direct
to
staff,
proceed
yeah.
with the drafting.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, so just for clarity purposes, are you directing staff to come back next month to continue that discussion, or to direct staff to proceed with drafting a text amendment in which we would proceed with a public hearing for next month?
I would say to draft a text amendment to proceed to public hearing.
Is that the intent of the motion?
No, I would like to see it before we go to public hearing. Definitely,
Right.
what we're talking about.
Is the seconder of the motion agreeable to see, is that your intent to second the motion to see it before it would come to public hearing?
I'm fine with that if we want to draft everything. I know that in the packet you had a little bit of things drafted already. Was that right?
Correct. So all of the suggested amendments
Changes are in the
are
packet.
included in the text in the
Mhm.
packet. So all of the suggested changes, they are redlined.
Okay.
So it's
sorry.
already
then we
here.
can amend,
Correct.
if you're comfortable, we can amend the motion. to
Yeah,
put the
I'll
public
amend my
hearing.
motion
All right,
to go ahead and draft it for public hearing.
all right, is the seconder on
I'll
board
sec-
to
I'll
second
second.
still?
Yeah.
All right, is everybody clear on what we're directing the staff to do for our next meeting? All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. We'll see this next month. Our next item for business is number 6A, continuing business. Election. All right, this is a plan commission position election. We're going to conduct nominations and elections for the position of the plan commission secretary.
Yeah,
I
because we've already
believe-
done vice president, right?
Yes, vice president was done last meeting, I
Last
believe,
meeting.
and then we did have someone propose a nomination for a member of the committee absent from the last meeting, so we tabled this item, if I recall. So Ms. Cook had missed the last meeting for a baseball game for her son, so we tabled that in the hopes that, because you have to be here to accept said nomination, so I guess whoever,
I will
May-
nominate Ms. Cook to continue if she will so accept said nomination as secretary.
is there a second? I
I'll
got
second.
All right, Are there any other I guess I did that backwards. Are there any other nominations for people to be secretary? I guess as long as we have the item open.
No.
All right, hearing none, we do have a motion and a second for Ms. Cook to remain as the Plan Commission secretary for,
Will she
will
accept?
you accept this? All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations, Ms. Cook. We're glad to have you serving as the secretary.
Yeah.
All right, 6B is our continuing business. This is the mixed-use district discussion. So staff will continue the discussion regarding a proposed concept for a new zone district intended to accommodate mixed-use development. The district would allow for the integration of residential and commercial uses within the same area, supporting more flexible land use patterns and promoting walkable, multifunctional development. This item is for discussion purposes only. There will be no formal action this evening. Staff, please take it away.
All right, so based on our last month's discussion, we were discussing about potential density controls. So staff drafted an addendum to the current draft, right? So that specific portion that addresses the density is within the statement of intent. So staff added 2 specific sentences, and one of them is to clarify the intent of the district and align that with our current land use category. So the land use category is mixed use residential and commercial. So staff added that sentence there, that development within this district shall include a mix of residential and non-residential uses to make sure that we're aligned with the comprehensive plan, but also to address the density issue that was raised in the last meeting. Staff included a sentence here in the statement of intent saying that residential development in this district shall be permitted at an average density of not less than 16 units, but also not more than 25 dwelling units per gross acre. And that density that was proposed is within the average densities within our multifamily district. So it is a density that is within what the village already allows. And that was basically the change to address that specific gap within the draft. Thank you.
Commissioners, are there questions for staff on this item? It's been on our, I think, about 3 or 4 meetings at this point. My comments on the density part, I think, were well addressed in the statement of intent in terms of what the aim for this is. So that was the main thing I believe that that we discussed last time, among other things. But if there's other questions, go ahead.
Sure. In the overview, there's a requirement for sidewalks, and yet you reference coming out of one other project, safer walking pathways. Safer walking pathways is not necessarily a sidewalk. Could be or couldn't be, but I guess my concern is adding sidewalks as a requirement here. When we look at where these buildings could potentially be, we end up with sidewalks that go nowhere. So maybe safe walking pathways within a proposal can make sense, but not necessarily a sidewalk. We've got 2 designations on the land use plan on this. One that is right up here around the Kmart, and the other one is at 6 Mile and 32, and it's pretty big. And I don't expect you to have the answer to that, but I'm just curious on the background of how that got designated and why up there. It may be a very good location, but it doesn't need to be answered as part of this.
Other questions, comments, feedback for staff on this one? I think they would, well, I guess, Natalia, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you and Director Wagner, who I assume is on vacation, looking for direction from this committee to come back with something similar to like the last item where you would develop a potential zone, or you have developed a potential zone district? Are you looking for feedback from us to direct you to bring that for potential public hearing to have that added to the code at this point? Or are you still doing more work and drafting on it in advance of that occurring?
Correct. So if the Plan Commission is comfortable with the proposal that we have right now, then basically staff is proposing that the Plan Commission directs staff to proceed with drafting a zoning code text amendment. So it goes to public hearing during the next Plan Commission meeting. And of course that some questions and comments were made at this time. So of course that these comments will also be addressed for the next meeting. So if the Plan Commission believes that staff still needs to work on that draft, we can definitely come back for discussion next month. Or if the Plan Commission believes that these are minor changes that can be addressed right now and then, the text could potentially go for a text amendment in public hearing next month. This would be the direction that staff would be looking for.
Does anyone have?
I'll make a proposal that we direct staff to bring back a draft document for changing the ordinance or fully describing the zoning, creating the new zone. Is that correct?
Correct. Proceeding with the zoning code text amendment and a public hearing next month.
Correct. And then we can look at some of the changes. Well, the only change I had was the question on the sidewalk. So yes.
I just have one comment on the sidewalk. We're talking just sidewalks within the development, correct? Not leading to, something future.
No, it references
Huh?
sidewalks that make walkability. So
Well, that's, to me, that's a no-brainer within a development if it's gonna be a multifunctional area.
correct.
You would have sidewalks so you can get from store to store or, business to business, in apartment building to apartment building. But you're not looking at
Oh, no,
something along the street area.
They are.
They are basically. That's why I suggested
Right
safe
here it
walking
says-
pathways.
Sidewalks shall be installed along all sides of the lot abutting public streets.
Yeah. I don't see that if it's sitting out in the middle of a farm field.
Correct. And the main,
Or, a sidewalk to nowhere.
sorry, and
It doesn't make much sense.
the main intent of starting with that requirement is that eventually we build that sidewalk network in the village and especially along our business corridors. Because if potentially that requirement is not included, we are not effectively advancing, especially the comprehensive plan and starting to build that sidewalk network.
Which is just, to me, just crazy when we look at the layout of this. We don't have a village center here. Now, if we're in Franksville, it might be something different. We're not there. We were recently looking at a project that's, they wanted to put a sidewalk in, but it couldn't be done because it would go to nowhere. It couldn't be continued into other areas. I just don't think it works. The requirement for sidewalks everywhere here just doesn't seem to work. We're not Drexel Town Square. That's the challenge, and we're putting it on the developer to add that.
Just a clarification on staff's proposal. Are you looking for direction from us to direct you to have the public hearing as part of our deliberation tonight?
Correct. Yes. So if the Plan Commission is comfortable with the draft as proposed, and of course, considering the comments tonight, new changes will be made. Staff is asking for direction if for next month, we will advance with the zoning code text amendment in a public hearing, or if the item will continue for discussion only next month and not a public hearing.
All right. I suppose,
So my motion that's on the floor.
Wanted some clarification, because I wasn't sure what you meant by your motion. If
I'm not sure I knew.
Which way, yeah.
all right. Right, so the motion on the floor is to direct staff to come back and notice a public hearing on substantially the item that we have in front of us in draft text, which could have some modifications to it
Correct.
by this body, but yeah, at that time, or by the village board, of course, if they want to entertain this. I think the comments on sidewalks are well taken. It's somewhat of a policy decision for the village board, of
Right.
course, in terms of, is 2026 the year that we need sidewalks to, start? It's not gonna happen overnight, certainly, and developers probably should put them in, but there's certainly, most places in the village, don't have them. Some do, but many don't. But that's something that we'll have to
Right.
weigh up and would make a recommendation to the village board on, and ultimately they would need to set
Make
that
that
policy for us as part of this, so I'd say to staff, maybe a recommendation just from my end of things might be, as a commissioner on this, because I probably won't be chairing this too much longer, since there'll be a village president soon, which is not me, for the record. But I'll continue as the vice chair, but my recommendation would be do a little work on, giving maybe the village board or this commission the ability to recommend when a sidewalk might make sense, like along Douglas Avenue or something, if someone was going to utilize this. But maybe if somebody was going to do the 1 by 6 mile,
Where's it going?
that could maybe be deferred for a while until, I don't know the language exactly, but maybe some research into that, because it's likely to come up.
So
in
do
the
we need
future.
a second on the, we need a
But yeah,
second
we
on
do
the
need it. So
amendment?
that was me ambling, but yeah, we do need a second on the amendment to direct staff to bring this back at a future meeting. Is there a second on?
Second.
Right, seconded by Commissioner May. Any other discussion on the motion? All
And
right.
Just to clarify, we will be coming back for discussion only and not public hearing.
No,
Or
pu-
public
for
And
Public
public
hearing.
hearing.
All right, thank you.
And I think what I was getting at, it's possible as part of that, we'll take whatever you have. There may be some amendments to the draft depending upon how staff settles on how sidewalks should be dealt with, but substantially the zone district should be what we've seen here this evening. All right. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries, and we will see that item next month. And I believe that exhausts our agenda for this evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.